What's the mix? So companies, any nonprofits or advocacy, okay. All right, so I've worked kind of in dabbled a little bit of everywhere. But the main thing that I think we all recognize is that everything we were taught is now completely different. I can remember hours of like having red ink on press releases and people coming back and like, no, without this press release or this magic, press list, we won't be able to reach people. And it just doesn't work that way anymore. And so as we're all kind of struggling to figure out what it is that we do and how we deal with this kind of big, massive landscape, really content is the main driver. So the main thing that I'll say that has changed is it's not what you say, it's how it makes your audience feel. So it used to be that we sat there and kind of talked about, what's the best message, we're getting our points across, but really we need to kind of flip the way we approach communications and think about what we're saying, how it makes somebody feel. When I've done media training in the past, trying to get clients to kind of get over that. If you stumble over a word or if you kind of mess up a fact, it doesn't matter. The people that watch don't remember. What they remember is if they kind of connected with you, if you were relatable, if you had a lot of warmth, if you were kind of a strong speaker. The nonverbal cues are the things that are the most important in doing interviews. And that's kind of now where we are with content. It's not the precise wording, it's kind of the overall tone and feel. So the main constraint, pretty much with anything, was that how we know it happened was because the media reported it. If you look at kind of a presidential election in the 1900s, not everybody could be in every state. Not everybody could see a war, and so you had to wait for the press to kind of tell you what had happened, what the it was, what are the facts about this it, and then give you a couple expert quotes and context. And so that's how you knew things happened. But we live in a live world. I would say, and I don't think there's been any studies, but the number of people that attended Princess Diana's wedding was higher. And I would say it's because now you don't have to travel to London to have been a participant in that day. People were tweeting live. People were having watch parties around the world. People were traveling there. They were watching, online, on live stream, watching on television, hearing it on the radio, and everyone was able to collectively experience it together, as opposed to the old paradigm where the thing happened, only maybe your table was able to experience it. Luckily, the media was there to tell the rest of you what happened. But now we're all able to do it at the same time. So that kind of changes a little bit of the structure, because now you're not waiting for someone to tell you. Every single individual is interpreting it and processing it their own way, which goes back to why the message is not nearly as important as how it makes your audience feel, because each single person in this room is going to walk away from this presentation and have something else that they remember from it. You're going to think, oh, this is what was really strong about it, hopefully, or, wow, she really kind of missed the mark here, but it's not the same experience. I mean, even just the angle from which you're looking at me versus you. You guys are having different experiences. And so that's the world we live in now. So I kind of did this as kind of like, I was talking to a friend of mine actually on the phone the other week, and we were trying to figure out what movie we wanted to go see. And so this is me in the middle, just kind of doing a snapshot of contemplating what movie you want to see. I have Fandango, I can go mobile, see what movies are playing, what times they are, go buy my ticket online, see reviews. I've got TV ads coming in. I'm a big fan of E-Entertainment TV. That's how I know what, what kind of the big stars are doing. You've got kind of, I can go on Twitter, see, all my friends have been talking about this movie. On Facebook, everyone's liked it. You see movie trailers coming in. You're sitting there, I'm getting my hair done in the morning, getting dressed, ready for work. I'm hearing about it on the radio. And there's all of these ways to reach. And so kind of the green is kind of the kind of paid content, the paid kind of advertising. And then I kind of categorize the yellow as kind of our traditional media with our radio, our TV. And then blue is kind of the online social media, and then I kind of just threw on family and friends. And the most important person or most important channel for me to decide what movie is really that kind of one-to-one conversation. I put an asterisk next to Richard Roper because I'm going to touch on this a little bit, but he's another example of kind of what we call Uber brands. He's got a TV show, radio, and a column. So you can, his opinion can disseminate a lot of information to a lot of people in various different channels, but I'll get back to that. So I kind of, thinking again kind of about like where these decisions go, like where am I sitting, where am I standing when I make that decision of what movie I want to go see? Well, where are you sitting and what are you doing when you're on Facebook? General Motors is one of the largest American advertisers in terms of dollars. They pulled all their Facebook ads. They announced it right before the IPO. So there's a little bit of like, was that just to kind of get at Facebook, or was that really because that was their strategic decision? But also, General Motors decided not to run a Super Bowl ad this year, which is kind of the live event of paid advertising, because no one's going to DVR it and skim through your ads. You've got a captive audience, but Facebook, it's a small percentage of their overall digital kind of advertising budget, but it's $10 million. But what they didn't do is they didn't pull their Facebook content, because what they found is, which I think is pretty true, is that, and this is our WPP, our kind of grand master, Ogilvy, WPP Worldwide PR, as he said, that Facebook's one of the most powerful branding mechanisms, but it's not advertising. Nobody who is looking to buy a car logs onto Facebook and says, what car should I buy today? You go to Facebook because you want to see what your friends are up to, you want to post something, you want to maybe check out what funny YouTube videos are there, but it's not the medium in which people are primed and ready to receive that information. Now, they might click on a video about a General Motors car or product that somebody else has posted, or see that their friend bought a new General Motors car, or see that they liked this or like this new brand. So that's why they move that money into content. So they're still feeding the conversation. I mean, if there's going to be a conversation, why not feed it, right? But to force a conversation that people don't want to have, I mean, it's like walking into a frat party and talking about the dangers of alcohol consumption. I mean, it's just wrong time, wrong place. Everyone may agree with you, wrong time, wrong place. So kind of our old adage of like, starting with what we wanted to tell people, we're often going to find that we're putting a square peg in a round hole. And that's what General Motors basically found with Facebook, is that when we worked very hard to kind of convey this information about this issue, or a new product launch, or you thought you knew this, but this is what's really out there. You're setting yourself up to maybe hit a couple people, but you're not really thinking about how people receive information, the point at which they seek it, and what they want to do with it once they have it. So kind of going back to starting with what your audience wants. They want information, but they want it when they're seeking it. They want choice. They want to, they're consumers of information as opposed to just kind of receivers of information. They're checking multiple websites. Studies that kind of look at how people's news consumption across the web is very, very, very few people actually just look at one website for their news. They're generally looking at different sites. So they're comparing, contrasting, they're becoming a very critical audience. The sniff test is a much different standard than it was before. But they're going to choose which outlets. If they don't like the way you're coming at them, they'll opt out of you. They don't have to listen to you in order to get information about your product, your company, your brand, your issue, or any of those things. They can go someplace else. And that's kind of the new thing to keep in mind, is that they don't have to listen to you. So again, interaction. When you just kind of have messages coming at you, it's one thing. When you have kind of a two-way conversation, you feel like somebody connects with you, they understand you. I often say that, from my time in working in representative government, that nobody really expects you to fix everything. They just expect you to listen. If you represent them, the number one thing about Congress is that if you represent them, they want to feel like they can call you and complain about the mail delivery, about the war in Iraq, and they want to have you listen. They know that it's tough. They know that companies can't suddenly go back and reproduce the mini bag of Doritos that they purchased. But if they can kind of have that interaction, it makes people feel better, and they want that dialogue. And then also connection. I mean, people are now more identifying with